From the darkest corners of the creepy old house down the street to the screams in the night. Settle in, Parafamily, to join with Whitney and Brandon for another spooky episode of the Para-Unity Podcast.
Boom. Mic drop.
Literally a mic drop. Welcome back, Parafamily. I'm Whitney.
And as always, I'm Brandon.
Yep. And welcome to the next episode of the Para-Unity Podcast. We're so happy to see everybody. Happy New Year, Brandon.
Absolutely. You too. So we're going to kick off our first episode of 2023. Huge.
Very big.
So
we're so excited.
Very big. We survived Santa Claus. We survived all the other creatures that come by afterwards, making sure we clean our houses or other lovely things. And so tonight we are moving on to a beautiful podcast host, a TV personality, and all around just awesome sauce person. So tonight we have Sapphire Sandalo, writer, animator, and host of Stories Sapphire podcast, and personality from Paranormal Caught on Camera and the Ghost Town Terror.
Woo.
So Sapphire is going to be joining us from Los Angeles, California, home of Hollywood, 3 Summer Olympics, a wild history, and a veritable stew of incredible diversity.
Oh gosh, that is so right, Brandon. And also, as usual, let's say hi to our chat room. Please feel free to drop questions at any time. We have Danny on. Hi, Danny. And I am so sorry if I mispronounce anybody's name. We have Nuzat Shakil. We've got some new folks on the chat. So welcome everybody. And I am thrilled that we're going to Los Angeles for this episode. I think this is the biggest city we've been to in the podcast. I
think so. Why don't you kick us off and tell us about it there, Whit?
Yeah,
yes.
Why not?
Lay it on me.
All right. So it is the second most populous city in the United States after New York City, of course. There's 3.9 million residents as of the 2020 census. Now, for over 3,000 years before European contact, there was a village located on the current day location of the city called Yanga, which means Poison Oak Place. This was settled by the indigenous Tongva people. So it was not just the Tongva there, it was also the Chumash people. And they were the first indigenous people to see Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo claimed the area for the Spanish in 1542. Now, in the 18th century, missionaries came, and one of the older missions was Mission San Gabriel Arcangel, which was built in 1771. I'm giving my Spanish a workout. Whew. Anyway, on September 4th, 1781, 44 settlers came from Mexico to start a pueblo, or a town, called El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de los Angeles. The 2/3 of these settlers, which were referred to as Los Pobladores, were of mixed African, indigenous, and European ancestry. So already we see this amazing diversity coming in. But of course, as we know, there's a lot of bloodshed in Los Angeles too. So after Mexico achieved independence from Spain in 1821, Los Angeles became part of the Mexican Empire. Now, later on, it was the site of a siege between the Mexican militia and American soldiers as one of the parts of the larger Mexican-American War of 1846. Los Angeles then fell under American control on January 13th, 1847, with the Treaty of Cahuenga. Wow. Yeah, I'm really giving my Spanish a workout. So I think I got the most of the Spanish done. So
Brandon,
Yeah, 3 years of studying Spanish in university. It's paying off great. But it's really fascinating. And honestly, folks, if you want to dig deeper into Los Angeles history, highly recommend just finding some amazing books or even checking out the American Hauntings podcast, because one season was located strictly in Hollywood. So let's talk a little more about how Los Angeles grew after that time.
All right, well, Los Angeles exploded in growth and economy during the 19th and 20th centuries with the discovery of petroleum and the arrival of the railroads. So in 1910, Hollywood merged with the city, and by the 1920s, more than 80% of the world's film industry was based in Los Angeles. So more growth from wartime manufacturing and the development of the interstate. And then obviously other notable incidents include the first internet transmission called ARPANET back in 1969.
Wow.
And that was from UCLA rather to the Stanford Research Center. And then obviously the Summer Olympic Games were held there in 1932, 1984, and if I check my watch correctly, it'll be in 2028.
Yep. Which makes Los Angeles probably the first city in Olympic history to host the Summer Olympics 3 times. So that's pretty amazing.
And I'm trying to already get tickets.
For real? Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. It might be too much I wish you luck. I hope it's easier to get Olympics. I hope it's easy to get Olympic tickets as opposed to me trying to get San Diego Comic-Con tickets. Yeah.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, there's so much innovation and development. Los Angeles definitely has a dark side. So being situated on the Pacific Ring of Fire, Los Angeles has the San Andreas Fault running right through it, making it the location of geologic instability in the form of major earthquakes. So Los Angeles is also the location of environmental concerns due to pollution and drought conditions. And with so much diversity, there have been racial tensions resulting in the Watts riots, of 1965. Watts riots, not Wyatt's riots. That's my kid. And the Rodney King assault and riots in 1992. As a huge city, homelessness and crime are social issues in Los Angeles. And I must add that I spend way too many hours watching high-speed police chases on the internet from Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
Guilty.
Wow.
Guilty.
I'll
watch them for hours.
It really, wow. Don't feel too bad. One of my husband's favorite shows to watch is Cops.
Oh, this is like Cops with no excitement. You're just watching cars.
This is the real thing of chase. Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, before we lose any viewers, let's talk about hauntings.
Let's switch to the hauntings, because Los Angeles definitely has quite a few well-known locations. They've got the Perry Mansion. They've got Linda Vista Hospital, which, by the way, is now a retirement community. There's also Griffith Park. Yeah, it does. Griffith Park, which is an amazing location with this amazing observatory, and so many more locations. So let's scoot back to Hollywood, because we're all about glamour and stars. And what's more glamorous than the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel? It is iconic. Opening in 1927, and it is the oldest operating hotel in Los Angeles. It was and is the place to be seen. Now, haunting history is quite famous because it includes seeing the apparitions of actor Montgomery Clift and actress Marilyn Monroe. And in fact, a grand mirror in the hotel lobby is said to have the beautiful blonde icon appear its reflection. And I think Marilyn Monroe is also attributed to some other hauntings in the area. I wouldn't be surprised. One thing I've learned about Hollywood hauntings, they get around. So. That's bad, dude. And especially the dead in Hollywood. So let's go to Hollywood Forever Cemetery. This cemetery officially started in 1899. and it became the resting place for many legendary individuals of the city's past. Fun fact, kind of related, but kind of not.
Okay.
In the museum I used to work in Richmond, Virginia, we actually gave tours in a cemetery called Hollywood Cemetery. And we would occasionally get phone calls from people wanting to take reservations and then asking, "Where are you in California? You're in Los Angeles, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, you mean the Hollywood Forever Cemetery? No, that's not us. We're the Hollywood Cemetery." So, yeah, that happened.
Well,
Anyway,
in Cedar Rapids, the road that goes by the cemetery in Cedar Rapids by downtown is Hollywood Boulevard.
there you go. Hollywood is everywhere.
All interconnected.
Very connected. Now back to Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Half of its property was sold in the 1920s, and as a result, Paramount Studios was built on the cemetery grounds. So it is said that spectral people dressed in period clothing from like the 1920s, 1930s, they walk through the grounds and into the brick wall. There's also said to be a weeping woman that appears in the cemetery who may be Virginia Rapp, who is associated with the Fatty Arbuckle scandal during the silent film era. And honestly, guys, I got to go back to the American Hauntings podcast with Troy Taylor. They do an amazing season on Haunted Hollywood. Check it out. They go into some amazing things here. So we got a huge episode. I mean, Los Angeles, the scope
big.
of the scope of your guest, Sapphire Sandalo. Now, she lives in the creative capital of the world, and she does so much of the paranormal and contributes to diversity and unity. And so we want the show to tell us about her life with the paranormal, how she's involved with Paranormal Caught on camera, and even to tell us about where it all began for her and her family. Sapphire Sandalo. Welcome, Sapphire.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And hello, Kaylin, and hello, Gail. Welcome to the show, guys. We got a very active chat.
Good.
So,
Well, Gail's here. She always
Sapphire.
talks. She loves to light up that chat.
Hi,
She does
Gail.
always talk. Yeah, we love everybody on the chat. And guys, once again, if you have questions for Sapphire, drop it in. Kaylin says, "Hi, Sapphire." All right, Sapphire, we have talked up Los Angeles.
No.
We have talked you up.
Oh, no.
I mean, how did you find yourself in Los Angeles?
So I grew up. Oh, wow. Hi, my voice. I grew up not too far from LA. I grew up in a county called Ventura County. It's only about an hour away. And I moved here in college because I went to Loyola Marymount University. I studied animation there. It was, I think, the first college I visited, and I immediately was like, yep, this is it. This is the one. And so I went there, and then I just never left LA. Yeah.
There you go. And Sapphire, on a side note, she has some very cute
Yes,
dogs.
I think one of them is outside my door right now, waiting for me to come out, but you'll have to wait.
Yeah. That's the same way with my cat and my kid. All right.
Well, Sapphire,
So,
what got you interested in the paranormal? What got you started?
Yeah, so I have always loved ghost stories ever since I was a kid, and I think it's because I was such a scaredy cat. Like hearing people's ghost stories was like the safe way to feel the chills, you know?
Yeah.
But then also everyone in my family had really cool ghost stories, especially my grandpa. And I talk about him a lot on my podcast. He just had a bunch of really cool experiences when he was younger in the Philippines. And that's how I learned about all of these different creatures and all of these different types of ghosts and stuff like that. And yeah, he's the reason why I became really obsessed with these stories. And the older I got, the more I was like, I feel like more people should know about this. So that's what's been sort of a driving motivator for me in everything I do.
I think great. And actually, Gail says her grandmother told the best stories. I really think you do get some of the best stories from your grandparents and from your family members. Absolutely. And I'm sure that now, I think you've also mentioned your mom on the show a couple of times, haven't you?
If I did, it was probably because I was trying to make her admit that she has seen the movie The Exorcist. Like, for some reason, she denies that she ever saw that movie. It's so weird. I think she feels like if she admits she's seen it, then something will like come after her. And I'm like, no, Mom, like we were sitting in the same room, like we watched it together. Like, I don't know why you're lying about this. So I think that's what you're thinking of.
That's right. I do remember, and that was pretty funny. I think my mom also has that same story too. She denies she's ever seen The Exorcist. I don't know what it is.
So strange. Wait, is your mom Catholic or Christian?
She is Christian.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go. I think there's certain levels of Christian that they believe if they're even just watching the media, they're watching like a horror movie or listening to something scary, then it will somehow like the demons will come and get them. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yes, I do have family members that are we're a very, very, very Catholic family, and yes, they do believe that things will come through the TV and take over your house and your
style.
body. Oh yeah, way back before the Ring.
I actually used to believe that too, but just because I really thought that there were people in the screen. I really did think that when I was a little kid, but that's great. That's awesome. Danny actually has a question. So Danny asks, did you have any paranormal experiences as a kid that really made you start believing in things?
See, that's the thing. I didn't. I feel like a lot of people who work in the paranormal, they always have like, well, when I was 3, this like crazy shit happened to me. Or can I curse in this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So just checking. You never know.
Too late.
Yeah, I never had any experiences as a kid. I think I was way too scared, so that closed me off to everything. But here's the thing. So actually, I guess I'll use this as an example. My grandma's house is super haunted. But I never physically saw anything there myself. But when I was younger, there was this one room that I always hated. I just hated looking at it, hated being near it. And I was like, I don't know why I don't like this room. And then maybe like a year ago, one of my cousins, she was sleeping in my grandma's house, and she told me that in the middle of the night she woke up. I think I did talk about this on my podcast, Whitney, so you might know about this. Her dog was barking at the hallway, and so she woke up, and then she saw this really tall, cloaked shadow figure walk into that room that I've always hated. And so she told me about this, and I was like, that's so weird because I've always got weird vibes from that room. And then I told my sister about it, and she's like, wait, I've always felt weird about that room. So it was stuff like that where I felt uncomfortable and I didn't know why, and then later would get some type of validation that, oh, okay, I'm not the only one feeling this way. If that makes sense.
It does. Actually, it does, because honestly, Sapphire, I used to be a huge scaredy cat when I was a little kid too. And I would avoid anything that was remotely paranormal like the plague for the longest time. And then I discovered Unsolved Mysteries. So that did something.
Yes. Oh my God. The old school Unsolved Mysteries were so good. Did you ever watch the one where like this woman had been looking for her like old wedding ring or something? And then like, oh yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? And then in the middle of the night, she wakes up and like her kettle was turned on. So the heat was coming from the kettle, and above the freaking kettle, there was like a little shelf, and there was a candle, and the candle had melted, and the freaking ring was in there. And it was true. That was Oh wait,
it was crazy.
Maybe that was an Unsolved Mystery. I might be thinking of Beyond.
I've seen other things like that too. There's been some crazy stuff on Unsolved Mysteries as well.
I'm getting them confused, but you know what I was talking about. That's all that matters to me.
The one that always got me when I was a kid was Well, anytime Robert Stack talked, I mean, you just kind of like.
Yes.
But the one with the ship that you had the little kid footprints around the pool.
The Queen Mary.
Yes.
That was the Queen Mary.
Oh, I don't think I've seen
Was
that
it
one.
really?
Yes, that was the Queen Mary. Yeah, I know that story. I know the Queen Mary stories backwards and forwards. Yeah, what they said that was where the psychic Peter James got the impression of a little girl that he believed was named Jackie. And it was down in the pool area, and you would see splashing from invisible forces, and then these
Whoa.
little footprints just sort of padding off into the locker area. Yeah.
But they had the video. I mean, I
had
know it's
this
not
video.
real. I know it's not real, but the little feet appearing on the no, forget about it.
Wait, what do you mean you know it's not real?
The
the
reenactment.
video?
Oh, I
The
thought you. I was like, wait, they had proof of it, and you're saying it's not real? I got confused.
Oh my
No,
God.
no. On the show, it's
Got it.
reenacted, not real.
Got
I know
it.
it's not real,
You,
but it didn't look that way.
okay, you guys, this is amazing. We have Betsy back on the Betsy Kulikowski, friend of the show and author on the show. You would love her, Sapphire. You really would. We have Gail Williams actually mentioned when you were talking about the room at your grandmother's house, Sapphire. She's like, it's like the new Harry Potter room, the room of dread and fear.
Wow.
That's a cool one. We have Sari on the show that said hi from YouTube. Weekly Creep actually just
Hi,
said,
Weekly Creep. I know them.
Yeah, they just said that it was so funny that them and their siblings, they were just literally saying the same thing about their grandmother's house last week.
Dude, yes.
There's something about a grandparent's house.
They're all haunted.
And even funnier, my Super Slimy Bros Gaming, that is actually my son, Preston, on the show.
Hi, Preston. I thought you were supposed to be asleep.
And whatever.
Busted.
And Chris Zahar, who is asking if I am single. No, Chris, I am not single. In fact, I'm pretty sure you know my husband quite well, Chris.
Your family's literally like taking over the show.
My family is taking over.
I love it.
This has never happened before. This is great. This is great. But anyway, let's get back. Yes, Weekly Creep. Same medium as the Sally House story. Yes, I believe Peter James was at the Sally House. I think he was one of the mediums there. But Sapphire, what kind of haunted places have you been to in Los Angeles?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, I've been to all the places that you mentioned in the opening. I have not experienced anything, but the Hollywood Forever Cemetery is so cool. I've been there for like the movie nights. They have like a movie night, so you can just watch a movie among the graves of really rich, famous people. It's very strange.
Really cool.
It is really cool. I mean, you're not like sitting on people's graves. That's just rude. But there's like a section of the cemetery that's just a nice little lawn. And there's also concerts there. So I've been to a couple concerts there too.
That's cool.
And actually, I wanted to ask both of you your opinions on so the concept of famous ghosts, as in the ghosts of people who were famous. Like, do you feel like it is rude for us to try to contact people that were like so bothered in their lifetime, or do you think like it's just part of the job that even now that they're dead we can still like bother them?
I don't know. I mean, I always do believe in kind of giving everybody their fair share of privacy, and that definitely includes when they're dead. I also think that when you have an individual that was so larger than life, like we do view a lot of Hollywood actors to be larger than life, they leave an imprint, they leave something behind. And I think the memory of them is enough. That's what I think, especially the golden age of Hollywood back in the beginning, back in the 20s and all this they looked at it differently than we do today, I think. So, Brandon, what do you think?
I don't have an issue talking to him. I mean, I'm
Okay.
just gonna be honest.
If they want to talk, I will happily talk.
They're still here for a reason. There's something that needs to be said, something that needs to be done. And as an investigator, part of our duty is to facilitate whatever they're trying to convey, to be able to either be content with whatever they're going to do or be ready to pass on to wherever they're going to go.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with Whitney. I mean, not to go back to the Harry Potter stuff, but I mean, it's kind of like the Voldemort thing, splitting off that soul into all those different places. I mean, I can totally see that.
I think
Hi.
I think once again you got puppy.
Hi,
Puppies and family, and oh wow, this is a great show tonight, guys. Danny says they should leave extra popcorn out for the spirits who want to watch the movie too.
Cute. I like that.
I think it's a great idea. So Sapphire, we know that you've done so much creative work. How do you think that working with the paranormal has influenced your creativity over these last few years?
Oh my goodness. I have never been more inspired than when I have started really diving deep into the paranormal and magic and witchcraft and the occult, like everything that I kind of have like my little fingers in. Like it has helped my own personal fictional art so much more than I ever thought it would. Do you hear my dog?
Yes.
Hang on. Oh, wow. Okay. You can't see them, but they're playing right outside the door. You can't come in. No. This room's not big enough. Sorry, guys. Oh my god.
We get this all the time. We get this all the time. Trust me.
No, but great. Okay. I hope he'll stop barking. This is so embarrassing.
Preston.
I just had one lick my face. It's okay.
Preston, honey, behave yourself on your chat. I mean it. Stop trying to hit people up to play games with you online. 12-year-olds. Anyway, continue with your creativity, please.
Oh no, I'm not. I finished my thought before my dogs interrupted me.
I think we just have great thoughts here.
Good.
Brandon.
Well, we got a question. Kaylin was asking a question. She says in Anaconda, Montana, right behind the courthouse, there's a cemetery, and there's a Gravity Hill. The same stories you always hear. Little kids pushing the car. Did you see that place when you did the Ghost Town Terror, Sapphire?
You know what? I did not. I don't think. Maybe I saw the courthouse. I'm not sure. Are they talking about the old city hall? Because we went there for season 1.
I think so, probably.
I wasn't aware that they had a Gravity Hill there.
That's interesting.
If so, I would have done that, but no one told me.
What did you think? So now that we've opened the mind, literally, on the Ghost Town Terror, tell us how you got involved in that.
It is a very boring story.
Okay.
I got an email. Let me peel back the curtain of how the entertainment industry works. You get an email sometimes about stuff, and then you do a cool thing. And I think it was still within the Travel Channel family, so they already knew me from Paranormal Caught camera, and so I think that they already the show had already been in development, and then 3 months before shooting, I get an email like, "Hey, do you want to join the show?" And it's usually not that quick. Like, you usually get more of a heads up, but I'm really glad that they did. It was really cool timing.
It is an interesting place from what you and I have talked at length about that. We've been speaking about that before, but Ghost Town Terror is a very interesting place. The location of it,
yes, Gunslinger Gulch.
Now, what I want to know,
yes,
and we also have a couple of other questions in the chat too, but I want to go back to another one of your appearances on TV,
Uh-huh.
Paranormal Caught on Camera.
Yes, everyone's favorite show.
I mean, it's a show that has the Jesus Moose. Walking across water.
the best video they've ever had on the show.
And that was pretty early on, wasn't it?
I don't
It's
remember.
true, Brandon. The
There's
Jesus Moose.
I know.
Have you seen
I know.
it?
I know.
You've seen it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. I don't want to admit that I've seen the Jesus Moose, but I've seen the Jesus Moose.
I love the Jesus Moose.
He admitted it. Anyway, now when we're talking about, I mean, a big part of investigating is, of course, going through whatever evidence or whatever anyone has captured. So how did you develop your own methodology of interpreting these videos and still also being respectful towards the people that submitted them?
Right. So the number one thing I always try to remind myself is that no matter how silly a video is, I can never truly prove whether or not it is real or not. So they tell us to like view it from that lens, like, you know, because it wouldn't be a fun show if we spent it just like shitting on people. Like, that's just not fun.
But you can literally tell that the stuff's being pulled on a string. I
can only say so much. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's a little, I will say this though, it can be challenging sometimes to be on that show. I love being on it. I have a great time. Travel Channel. But it's,
I don't think the Travel Channel cares about
Sorry. They don't watch our show.
Just in case. You never know. They're everywhere. So no, it's fun. It's
it is.
One thing for me. Oh, what was it? What was I saying? Oh, I'm not there. I'm not the one who's like filming it. I didn't experience it. But what's also so challenging is that I do kind of have a belief that the most and I've said this so many times during filming, and I'm sure they've never used it. I'm always like, this goes against your whole like theory for the show. But the most paranormal things usually can't be caught on camera. So like, for example, even if you like filmed something, to me, it like I have to be there because I want to feel it, like experiencing the paranormal is so much different than seeing it on a tape, in my opinion, because there's so many other things that can be happening that can't be captured. You know, you could like hear things in your mind, you could feel sensations, words can pop into your head, you know, those are things that cannot be caught on camera. And to me, those are the most interesting pieces of evidence when you're investigating. But again, that doesn't show up on camera. That's just me.
Yeah. Oh wow.
She's still gonna hate me because they're gonna be like, oh yeah, so that one guy getting on our show.
But one thing that I will say, because I've seen some, I have seen some of Paranormal Caught on camera too. There are some things that are captured that naturally do occur that are just as extraordinary as anything paranormal. I mean, you get to see a moose run so fast, it's practically walking on. I mean, it's really cool. It's really fascinating. Especially,
it is cool.
Yeah. So I think a show like that, if anything, it should encourage you not to lose your sense of wonder.
Yeah, I like that.
At least that's what I think. And going back over, we also have Kiki online too. Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Kiki.
Yep. My son is happy again. He actually asked me, what are we talking about again? Preston, it's quite all right. Just enjoy. Weekly, Kaylin said that the Gravity Hill that she mentioned is on Main Street.
Okay.
I think that's what she means. And Weekly Creep says that they've got Gravity Hills everywhere back in Ireland. Danny has a good question, and this kind of segues more into what I really want you to get into is she was asking about if you have any resource recommendations for the witchcraft that you've been studying and practicing.
Oh my goodness. So let's see where I never know how to categorize what I do. I currently just call myself an occultist because I feel like that encompasses a lot of what I do because I do some witchcraft, some um a lot of different types of divination, ancestral worship, just like bits and pieces of like a lot of things. So I never know like how to categorize that. But one free source that you can start learning from right away. I have a friend. Her name is Rani Agogo. She was on my podcast. She is a priestess who lives out here in LA. And she has these free videos that you can just watch on her YouTube channel. I believe it's Rancig, Rancig. And she has videos on just like how to get started with magic. So that's a good place to start, and it's free. And then also I have like I read a bunch of books. One that I finished recently that I really enjoy, and it's good for beginners. It's called How to Study Magic by Sarah Lyons, I believe. She released it like pretty recently, and I liked it a lot. It covers a lot of things, like a pretty broad range of things, so it can get you started down like which path interests you the most. What else? Yeah, most, and then learning from people. Like I think all of the relationships I've developed from working in the paranormal has helped me with my own spiritual practice because I can just like text people my questions and they can like help me with stuff. So yeah.
My kid is funny. I'm just saying that right now. I am so sorry.
What?
He says, what Sapphire I think is a... Okay, Preston, watch out with that word.
We don't say that.
We can't say that word. We can't say that word. Don't worry, he's not cussing. For the audio purposes of this podcast, my son is not saying bad language or anything, but one thing to learn about the occult and magic, at least from what I can gather, is that there are some words and some creatures from other cultures and other ideas that really should not be said by anybody from the outside. So, yeah, at least that's what and that's a perfect segue to Sapphire. Tell us more about how you started Stories with Sapphire, and where do you hope it goes from here?
Sure. So I had already been podcasting and I had a YouTube channel. I was working for a company, and I decided to quit for multiple reasons. But I just got to a point where I was like, I'm doing everything on my own here. I might as well be doing that, but like for myself. So I quit that job. And then a couple months later, I started Stories with Sapphire. So I was back in February 2020, and then lockdown happened, which actually helped because everyone was already online and at home, so I could still like interview people. Yeah. And so I've been doing it ever since. I've been taking can I say a little piece of advice for anyone who is podcasting or wants to get into podcasting?
Yeah.
Don't feel like you need to fulfill the algorithm, because I'll tell you, I take so many breaks, which they say don't do. My show is every other week. It's not weekly. And every single time I have come back from a break, I have seen a significant spike from listens. So to me, that says take breaks. Like, don't kill yourself trying to be like, but I have to feed the algorithm. It's hungry, like every single week, because that's what they tell you. Like, you have to put something up all the time. Anyways, that's a total tangent, but I tell everyone that.
Very helpful.
We are exactly the same way. We do a live stream one week, we post the audio the next week.
That's perfect.
Works for us.
We take breaks. We actually allow people to be sick and not be on an episode.
Yes.
And then we take a summer break and we take a Christmas break, so that way we can be with families.
Yes.
We can enjoy the warm weather. And our fans that we have, or our family, they keep listening all through the summer. They go back, they hit them old episodes that they wanted to pick up on. We have, fan favorite episodes that we'll bring that person back on again
Mhm.
to dive a little deeper into something just because we can. And I mean, we're listened to all over the world, and we
Which is
literally
humbling.
put this is about as much effort as we put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great? I feel like more people should like talk about that instead of being like, you have to like hustle all the time. It's like you actually don't. You really don't.
You really don't at all.
No.
And honestly, we appreciate when people actually set boundaries for themselves and take care of
Right.
themselves.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's the most
So-
important thing.
Absolutely.
I have no idea what I was talking about before I
So-
got on this tangent.
Why don't you tell us? So going back to your family in the Philippines, because you on your show you do have quite a few amazing people that hail from the Philippines originally, and they share their culture and they share their understanding with. What is the general feeling for the paranormal in the Philippines that you've been able to catch for a while?
So usually people say that I mean, it's weird. I think like even for people who are skeptics, the Filipinos who are skeptics, they still are very into the stories and they know a lot of them because of like family. Like it's a very, very common thing. Like if you most Filipino people will know like a couple ghost stories because of their family. And the Philippines is still like a lot of it is still very untouched. So there's a lot of places where like legends are still very rampant because things are still like unexplained. There's also like the theories that like water and islands are like more haunted, like more stuff happens there. So it's like a combination of the beliefs still existing in the Philippines and just like all of the places that are still so untouched there that I think has helped like these stories stay alive. In
That's
my
really
opinion.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite scary story from the Philippines? What is your favorite spooky creature?
Well, my favorite creature, it's kind of a basic one because it's the most famous one, but a lot of people still don't know it, so I like talking about it. The Manananggal, which is she appears as a regular woman in the day, but then at night she separates her upper body from her legs. She just kind of leaves her legs out and about, hidden, and then she grows wings and then she flies around and she can smell unborn babies, like babies that are still inside of a tummy. And so she flies around, and then when she finds a pregnant woman, she goes onto the roof and then scratches a hole in the roof and then shoots her long tongue into the belly button and then scoops out the baby and then flies away. So I'm pretty sure that it originated as an explanation for miscarriages. But there is also really large bats in the Philippines. If you Google fox bat, I think, or flying fox or something, if you saw that in the middle of the night in the moonlight, it could kind of look
That's
like
pretty scary.
half woman with her intestines dangling.
They're super cute though. Not the intestines, the flying.
They're so cute. I love bats. Are just sky puppies. They're so
They
cool.
are cute. Wait, I like bats too. That's awesome. Yeah. So another thing that now we actually let's go to the chat and take a look. No, Preston, Sapphire does not hate babies. Sorry about that, guys.
It's okay.
Let's go back to a question that actually kind of popped up. I believe Danny asked another question about how to protect yourself during an investigation before going into an investigation.
So I have a couple.
Kaylin asked.
I have a couple different things that I personally do. That's the thing. I once I learned or once I realized that like it's not let me back up. My brain's like all over the place right now.
I know.
So growing up, my family would always tell me, don't dabble with like dark things. That's like dangerous. And then the more that I learn about quote unquote dark things, the more I realize like it's not that you shouldn't deal with it because it's dangerous. Like you should just be responsible and have protection. So now I'm like all about protection. So this is my number one like thing that protects me. This is I'm holding up my arm. It's
Oh,
my
yeah.
batok. It's like it's a hand tap Filipino markings. So it was like a ceremony where Lane Wilkin, Manong Lane Wilkin, he was also on my podcast. So he gave me these markings, and they represent a lot of different things, but this is technically a curse. He was like, "Are you cool with wearing a curse on your arm?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah." But this, so this is like a lot of protective imagery. So there's like crocodile teeth. There's my ancestors' eyes looking over me.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is one thing that makes me feel safe. I also have some like spirit companions that I have
Oh, yeah.
as protection. And then I ask like my ancestors to be present and protect me. But yeah, I also don't really do, I don't really do anything that would be considered dangerous to begin with, but I do those are my go-to things before going anywhere, where I'll just like call upon all of my guides and ancestors to watch over me and keep me safe while it's
Sure.
happening.
Well, and
Mhm.
a lot of people too, they carry different types of stones and
Yes.
gems
Oh,
in
I
their
have a couple
pockets
stones
as well.
too. Yeah. Maybe, yeah, I have a lot more things. Oh, yeah, crystals, stones. Hmm.
Yeah, I have a few crystals and stones that I use too, and we know the spirits pretty well,
Uh-huh.
which is
So
pretty cool.
one of the things I always recommend for people is when you're going into an investigative place, and I do this at every place I go to. I go into, we get everything set up, right? So you've walked through the building, you know what the place is, you know what's going on, you've read the stories, you know what's happening. I go in, I find a place in the middle of it somewhere, whether it's a theater, I sit in the back row of the theater, so you're close to the stairs or the stage, or about even. In a house, I sit in the living room, the main room, and I just sit, close my eyes, and just sit. And you just let that presence and that energy in the house just flow across you and through you, and it just attunes your body into knowing that you're here to communicate with them. So it's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm still pretty new to investigating myself. I mostly research, but what I try to do is I always, and believe it or not, I actually started doing this recently. One way that helps me protect myself is not just what I do before an investigation, but what I do after an investigation.
Yes.
I actually try and close it out the best way I can, whether that's I just simply stand in like Brandon, like a central space and say, thank you for allowing me to communicate with you. Thank you for trying to tell me your story the best way you can. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to give you your space back and leave you be. And we will connect another time in this place and try to leave it behind me as much as I can. So I've actually found that that's helped me a lot.
Nice.
And it's also made me a little bit more sane, I think. It's kind of that, again, that's setting the boundary.
Right. And we do that too with ours when we close. We tell them that, we appreciated everything. Just know that you're not welcome to attach to our object or to our equipment, our bodies, our vehicles. Any offers of interaction are now currently void, no longer good. So that way they know, yes, we're done.
We're good to go. Nuzat here actually has a question. Have you ever played any horror games and tried to contact the spirit world that way? So I'm guessing
like contacting through the. Oh, I'm thinking like a video game for some reason. And I got very confused. I was like, wait, what? Is that a thing?
I
Try to-
don't know, and I hope not, because I'm going to tell my kid, don't play those scary video games. And Preston, I just want to tell you real quick, my son, you are a delight. I love you, and your energy makes me happy, no matter what you say. It's refreshing. All right, but back to Nizat's question. What do you think?
Let's see, what if I mean, like, every kid like plays Bloody Mary. I have like a really embarrassing story with that. Are you familiar with the Boys and Girls Club?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I used to volunteer in high school, and I don't know what what happened, but like there was this one day where just a bunch of like little boys were crowded around me, and they're like, "Do you know any scary stories?" And I was like, "Yeah." So like they all like formed a little circle around me, and I was telling them about this Bloody Mary experience that my cousin had, and they were like, "Whoa, we're gonna try it now." And I was like, "Wait, don't!" And they like all ran into the little boys' bathroom, and obviously I can't go in there, so I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I don't know what to do." And they came out screaming, and they're like, "We saw her, we saw her!" And then the like adult volunteers came over, and they're like, "What is going on?" And I was just like, I told them about Bloody Mary and they tried doing it. She's like, "Why would you tell them that?" And then like they got really mad at me. So but it's just so embarrassing. I'm like, why did I think that was okay? Anyways, to answer your question, not really. But I mean, I guess I've played. Do Ouija boards count? I played with the Ouija board a bunch.
I think that, yeah.
I don't know what counts as a horror game.
Yeah, I think that might count as something. Or maybe something like
Supposedly there is a new online game that kids are playing that's supposed to be super, super creepy.
What's it called?
Backrooms or something?
I
don't
love
know.
the back rooms.
My
I keep hearing that phrase.
My teenager's at work, so I can't ask him.
The back rooms is just that. It's going through these different corridors and rooms, and every single one is different, but but apparently it's infinite. Like in a really weird way. My son knows a little bit about it too. And then there's games like, oh god, Granny and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of and actually there is a game in which I've seen a floating head with the entrails. It's called Eyes.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, the name of the game is called Eyes, but they have that ghost there. So it's really creepy, but I really think it's fun. So kind of pull it back in a little bit, because that's what we do. Sapphire, I mean, with all of this diverse experience and all of this amazing work that you've been doing, what do you think the paranormal needs now? How can we continue moving this field forward?
I have always been an advocate for promoting empathy in the paranormal and with our discussions. Because still to this day, I don't know if it's getting better, but most of the popular paranormal shows that you see, all kind of utilize the same tactics where you provoke things, or I don't know. It's just it's getting old. But I understand why, because it's good entertainment. But when that is the most popular show, that's showcasing like paranormal investigation, then that's what people think it is and how it should be. So just like, even with Paranormal Caught on Camera, when they show videos, like I always try to like come at it from an empathetic point of view. Like there would be videos of like people in a house and being like freaking out because they hear like someone crying, but being like, hang on a second, like someone's crying. Like if that was a person, would you be screaming and like running? You know what I mean? Just like trying to remind people that yes, it is fucking cool when spirits and you get like an experience, but at the same time, not to be disrespectful about it. So that's my main mission with everything that I do, is like just reminding people of that, and that like there's the spirit world and the paranormal is so vast that there's multiple ways of saying the same thing and multiple ways of like experiencing things. There's no like one right way, if that makes sense.
Right.
But yeah.
Aww. How are you feeling, Brandon?
I'm here.
Physically, but not mentally.
Yeah. Now he's done pretty well. Let's Brandon, everybody, he's doing well. Oh man, this has been great. So what would you say? So you already gave a really good tip about podcasting that just don't worry about the algorithm or anything. What are some other tips that you have figured out over the years, not just with podcasting, but also with creative work, the paranormal, everything like that?
My biggest tip, if you are doing any sort of creative endeavor, is to have influences that are outside of the thing that you're doing. So for example, like I mentioned, I am also an animator. But like there was a lot of people when I was going to school, all they would watch was other animation. That was all they would watch. So all of their work felt very derivative of animation that already existed. So like if you want to make really unique, compelling art, like have other interests. Like your work will be so much better like if you also like for example, like for me, like that is the paranormal. Like but even with that, so like with my podcast, like I don't listen to other paranormal podcasts. And it's no like I'm not knocking anyone's podcast. It's just like I get inspired by things that are so different from mine, which is why mine kind of feels a little self-helpy sometimes because I listen to a lot of self-help podcasts. And I feel like that's what will make your work more interesting and unique is when you take influences from something that's totally different. That's just my thought.
Thanks for not listening.
I know. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
Brandon, isn't it enough that I listen? Oh, yay.
Taking my computer. I'm going home.
Brandon, I love you.
But you're 100% correct though, because when we started this show, the whole point behind it wasn't to go and talk about every haunted location that's been covered, like Waverly Hills or the lighthouse in Florida or, covering what?
Nothing.
What are these secrets?
Anyway, I don't know. She doesn't ever tell me them. But I didn't want to just cover those. Everybody covers though. I wanted to talk to people that actually go inside them. And you couldn't find anybody that did a podcast about that back in 2019. So we decided, let's just do it. And so that's how we did. I mean, first episode, we had a team out of Colorado that, had gone to like the Stanley Hotel and all sorts of other things. And, and they killed it. And then after that, we talked to a team from Ireland and they killed it. And so that's just how it kept growing. And here we are talking to people that don't like to listen to our show.
God damn it. I knew I shouldn't have said it.
Oh, stop it. No. We're fine. I
love teasing everybody. So you're
he
totally
does.
Good.
He gets me every time. It's adorable. Weekly Creepack asked who was the Irish team because
it was PSL Ireland based out of Galway.
Yeah.
So it was Philip. Yes, his first name was Philip. He's our second or third episode. Wow, I'm really losing my brain. But too many teams. But not only is he an amazing guy, and they've been to some amazing places there in Ireland, he also does amazing impressions of celebrities.
That's so random.
Awesome.
And he does it on the episode. It's like I literally almost just made a podcast episode of just him doing, because I have probably 20 minutes of him just going on rants in different voices.
That is amazing. I got to hear that sometime. And, also I love it when there's some groups that really care so much about the history that everything they do goes to benefit those historical locations. And it's the preservation work. And that's my day job. I'm involved in history museums and things like that. So when I go to something like a Paracon and it turns out to be something for historical preservation, that just makes me so happy. So I love it when the groups that we've been talking to aren't just investigating and trying to forward the field and develop more understanding. I love it when they actually do something for the outside community and just provide places.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point. That doesn't really come up a lot with paranormal investigation because a lot of those places are really old and need restoration. And now I'm like, oh, I should be better about that too. Cool.
We can talk
Thanks,
about
sweetie.
that.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. Oh, yeah. And Ghost Geeks, our good friend Chad Wandell is on. Hi, Ghost Geeks. And he said that their group does the same thing. And they love to organize cleanup days and build days. So that's pretty cool, too. Wow. We just have all these amazing. It's so great when you try to bring in all of your diverse interests and it ends up making things a little bit better. Yay. I'm tired.
Yeah, it's late where you are.
In the best way possible.
Weekly Creep, it's psiireland.com.
For that group in Galway, right? Yes.
Yes.
So that's so you know. And speaking of contact information, Sapphire, what's next for you coming up?
You're really great at segues.
Thank you.
I was like, oh my gosh, everyone on point.
It's my teaching background.
I love it. I was like, oh my gosh, so smooth. Let's see, where can people reach me? I still have a Twitter, but I'm not really active on it anymore. You can find me on Instagram at Sapphire_Sandalo. And then if you have a story that you'd like me to read on my podcast, it's you can email storieswithsapphire@gmail.com.
And it's fantastic because Sapphire has there's some amazing people that come on Sapphire's show that share these really cool stories. And it's just, there's a lot of really cool things that go on there. So fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. And any more trips out to Anaconda?
Even if I knew, I couldn't tell you. So
Darn it.
I know.
Darn it. I have a reason for asking that, and Sapphire knows.
Okay.
Sapphire knows. But in any case, Brandon, we've had quite a night, haven't we?
Always and every day.
And Sapphire, thank you for for coming on the show and helping us start the new year with a bang.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. It's the year of the rabbit. Actually.
Yes.
Bunny.
You're the bunny.
All right. And Brandon, let's close up, guys. Let's close this up. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Para Unity podcast. And go over to you, Brandon.
All right. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please remember to take a second and rate us 5 stars or leave us a review. Helps us to get the word out about the show, and we want to hear your feedback to help make the show better. If you're an Android listener, you can follow us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or Google Podcasts, or simply just say, Alexa, play that Para Unity podcast.
Woo!
And she'll be like, okay, sure.
She does, actually. She says, play Para Unity podcast.
Did I ever tell you I went through Best Buy and made all the Alexas start playing episodes?
That's kind of genius.
That is amazing.
Dude, you should have seen how high our numbers were that week. No, just.
But in any way.
That way you never miss an episode. Remember, if you like the show, tell a friend. If you want to be a guest on the show or just want more Para Unity, please join us on our Facebook or Instagram pages. And if you want to help support the show, stop by the website and buy us a coffee. So, but my name is Brandon.
And I'm Whitney, and you're in the best place to bring our paranormal family a little closer together, the Para Unity podcast. Good night, chat. Thank you all for being here. Good night, Sapphire. Thank you again. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.